Chapter 1. The collapse of noise. He used to think movement meant progress. If he was busy, he believed he was strong. If his calendar was full, he believed he had purpose. If his mind was racing, he believed he was alive. But the truth was quieter and far more brutal. His entire life was a fortress built from motion, not mastery. Every morning began with the same ritual. Wake up tired, reach for his phone, drown in notifications, rush through tasks, chase the next thing, and collapse at night with a mind still spinning like a storm refusing to settle. He didn't recognize it then, but his world was made of noise, and noise was killing him. At work, he was admired for his speed, his energy, his ability to always be on. People said he was driven, focused, ambitious, but inside, he felt scattered. Like his mind was a glass shattered into 1,000 sharp pieces he didn't know how to hold. The noise was familiar. The silence was terrifying. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, and share so I can keep bringing you great content. He avoided anything that slowed him down. Long moments alone, quiet evenings, empty weekends. Stillness made him feel vulnerable, exposed, uncertain. So he filled every gap with something. Videos, messages, errands, calls, music, games, conversations. Sound became a issue. Because deep inside his chest lived a truth he refused to face. He was afraid of meeting himself. Then came the night he could no longer outrun the storm. It began as a simple evening, another late session of work, another cup of cold coffee, another playlist meant to drown out the restlessness crawling inside his thoughts. But his body felt different. His heart hammered against his ribs, demanding attention like a drum echoing through an empty hall. He tried to shake it off, tried to distract himself, tried to work faster, tried to scroll harder, tried to stand, move, stretch. Anything to escape the invisible weight crushing him from within. But the panic came anyway. It hit him like a wave crashing against a cliff. His chest squeezed, his vision blurred, thoughts spiraled in violent circles. He felt like he was sinking into himself, drowning in a sea of his own noise. For the first time in his life, he realized he was not in control of his mind. His mind was in control of him. He collapsed onto the floor, palms on the cold tiles, breath broken and uneven. A single thought rose above the chaos. I can't live like this anymore. When the storm finally loosened its grip, he felt empty, drained, hollow, stripped of every illusion of strength he once carried. He sat there for a long time, staring at the city lights outside his window. Cars rushed by. Sirens echoed. Screens flickered. Life moved fast, but none of it felt real. In the silence of that moment, he confronted a truth he had avoided for years. His strength was a mask. His confidence was a habit. His discipline was an illusion. Inside, he was exhausted. Inside, he was afraid. He searched for answers, not from friends, not from books, not from therapy apps he downloaded but never opened. He searched for something deeper, something ancient, something that didn't speak in motivational quotes or productivity hacks. His eyes landed on a short video someone had shared months ago, a quiet clip of monks meditating in the mountains. No music, no talking, just wind, stone, and stillness. The caption read, "A monastery where warriors train the silent mind." He didn't know why his chest tightened when he saw it again. He didn't know why a simple image of stillness felt more powerful than anything he had tried. He didn't know why his soul whispered, "Go," but something inside him cracked open. A small fracture where light slipped through. Without planning, without thinking, without asking permission from the life that demanded so much from him, he packed a bag. Clothes, water, a notebook. He didn't know what he was searching for. He only knew what he needed to escape. The city felt suffocating as he made his way to the bus that would take him toward the mountains. Buildings towered over him like giants made of concrete and distraction. Horns blared. Screens glowed. People rushed past him with eyes glued to their phones, minds trapped in worlds made of noise. He saw himself in all of them, and for the first time he felt pity, not judgment, for the man he had been. The bus ride was silent. No music, no videos, no calls. Just the hum of the engine and the slow breathing of strangers half asleep. The mountains rose like ancient guardians in the distance, tall, unmoving, untouched by the chaos of human life. The higher the bus climbed, the quieter the world became. The air felt cleaner. The thoughts felt slower. The storm inside him softened, if only slightly. He stepped off at the final stop, a small dirt path leading upward through the trees. The forest was alive with a silence he had never known. Not empty silence, sacred silence. Every footstep crunched against gravel like a whispered invitation. Every gust of wind carried a message older than words. Every breath tasted like something pure and forgotten. And then he saw it. The outer gates of the monastery, tall wood, carved symbols. A stillness so deep it felt like time itself bowed before it. He froze. His heart pounded, not from fear of the climb, but from fear of what waited inside. Because in this silence there was nowhere left to hide, nothing to distract him, nothing to distract him, nothing to shield him from himself. And yet he stepped forward, because the noise of his old life had already destroyed him. The silence of this new path might be the only thing capable of rebuilding him. As his fingers touched the ancient wooden gate, a chill ran through his spine. The collapse of noise had begun, and beyond this threshold, the real journey waited. Chapter 2. The Silent Monastery. The moment he stepped past the monastery gates, the world changed. Silence settled over him like a cloak, not the empty silence of an abandoned place, but the living silence of a world that had learned to breathe without rushing. Even the air felt different here, heavier, older, shaped by centuries of discipline. The courtyard was wide, paved with smooth stone worn down by countless footsteps. Bamboo stalks swayed gently along the edges, their leaves whispering secrets as the wind brushed through. Incense drifted faintly from a shrine further inside, its smoke curling upward like a soft thread connecting earth to sky. But what struck him most was not the scenery. It was the presence of the monks. They moved with a stillness that felt impossible, every step precise. Every motion slow but purposeful. Their robes flowed as if carried by intention rather than movement. He expected chants or greetings, or at least a nod of welcome. But no one spoke. No one gestured. No one even looked directly at him. It wasn't rudeness. It was something deeper, a discipline so complete it had become nature. He felt like an intruder walking into a temple made of breath and silence. A young monk approached, tall, calm, eyes soft but unwavering. Without a word, he bowed slightly and signaled for the visitor to follow. The gesture was small, yet it carried an authority stronger than any spoken instruction. They walked through narrow hallways lined with wooden lanterns. Their footsteps made no sound on the polished floor. Even the wind, even the rustle of robes, felt muted, as if the monastery itself swallowed noise. He tried to match the monk's silence, but his own breath sounded too loud, too jagged, too untrained. His mind flickered with thoughts. What am I supposed to do? Where am I going? Who will teach me? Why is no one speaking? But every thought felt out of place here. Like a stranger crashing a ceremony, they reached a wide meditation hall. Inside, dozens of monks sat in absolute stillness. Not moving, not blinking, not resisting, just existing. It was a quiet so deep he could hear his own heartbeat echo. For the first time he realized, silence isn't the absence of sound. Silence is the presence of yourself. The young monk motioned for him to sit. He crossed his legs awkwardly, back stiff, unsure where to place his hands. A single candle flickered in the center of the room, casting long shadows across the floor. Minutes stretched into something heavier. His legs began to ache. His neck tightened. His thoughts raced. He shifted uncomfortably. Once, twice, feeling embarrassed by how much noise his small movements made. Meanwhile, the monks remained unmoved, as if their bodies had become part of the stone beneath them. He wanted to leave. He wanted to run. But he stayed because something about this place held him, like the gravity of a world with different rules. When the session ended, he expected guidance, a lesson, a word, a ritual. Instead, the young monk led him outside. Still no speaking, and still no explanation. They walked until they reached a quiet garden behind the main hall. And there, sitting alone on a wooden bench beneath an ancient cedar tree, was the mentor. He was old, but not weak. His posture was straight, his shoulders square, his gaze steady like a blade forged over years of flame and cold water. His presence was calm, but powerful, the kind of calm that comes only after conquering storms no one else can see. The mentor did not rise. He did not smile. He did not smile. He simply looked up. And in that single glance, the newcomer felt exposed, like his entire life had been read in the space of one breath. The young monk stepped back and disappeared, leaving the two of them alone. For a long moment, neither moved. Neither spoke. Only the wind shifted. Finally, the mentor lifted one finger, slow, deliberate, and pointed to a broom leaning against the cedar trunk. A simple broom, old, worn, nothing special. The visitor stared, confused. He had expected wisdom teaching some deep Zen philosophy. Instead, he was being asked to sweep. The mentor nodded once, so he picked up the broom. The garden was already clean. There was nothing to sweep. But the mentor watched him with a gaze so sharp he felt it cut through his excuses. He swept anyway. He swept slowly at first, unsure of what he was supposed to be doing. Then faster, trying to show effort. Then slower again as fatigue settled into his arms. But the mentor didn't care about speed. He cared about presence. Each sweep felt louder than the last, not the sound of the broom, but the noise inside his mind. His thoughts were chaotic. Why am I doing this? What is the lesson? Am I doing something wrong? Why won't he speak? What does he want? The mentor continued to watch. After nearly an hour, sweat gathered on his forehead even though the air was cool. His arms trembled. His breath grew uneven. Frustration burned inside him. Suddenly, the mentor stood, walked over, placed a single hand on the broom, stopping it completely. Then for the first time, he spoke. His voice was deep, quiet, and steady like a river beneath stone. Your mind is loud because your spirit is afraid. The words struck him harder than any lecture could have. The mentor turned away, leaving him frozen with the broom still in his hands. Something in those words cracked open a part of him he didn't know he had locked. The elder monk walked down the path, expecting him to follow. And he did. Because for the first time he realized something terrifying and beautiful. This place wasn't here to teach him how to think. It was here to teach him how to meet himself in silence. Chapter 3. The war within the mind the next morning began not with a bell, nor a call, nor any spoken instruction, but cold. The mentor woke him before the sun rose, tapping the wooden frame of his door only once. No words, no expression. He stepped outside into the dawn air, breath turning white, body shivering from the mountain chill. The mentor led him to a narrow clearing where a stone basin sat filled with water from the higher springs. Ice crusted around the rim. Mist rose from the nearby forest floor. The silence felt sharper this early, like a blade honed by the night. The mentor tapped the edge of the basin. A single gesture. Begin. He understood. He cupped the freezing water in his hands and splashed it onto his face. The shock hit him like a strike. His chest tightened. His eyes snapped open. But the mentor wasn't satisfied. He pointed again. Lower this time. Kneel. So he knelt. The cold pierced through his bones. His breath shook. But he lowered his face into the water anyway, holding himself there as long as he could. His mind screamed. His instincts pulled him back. Every second felt like drowning in ice. When he finally gasped up, the mentor's voice cut through the air. Do not fear the mind's noise. Fear the part of you that obeys it. And then the training began. The war inside his mind came at him the moment stillness surrounded him. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't gradual. It was a storm. The mentor guided him to a meditation platform overlooking the valley. The mountain spread vast and unmoving before him, as though reminding him how small his thoughts truly were. But the moment he sat, his inner world erupted. His mind hurled memories at him, things he'd avoided for years. Arguments, failures, embarrassments, people he hurt, people who hurt him. The fear of being alone, the fear of never being enough. Every thought demanded attention. Every emotion insisted it was urgent. Every insecurity rose like a ghost from the grave. This was the war the mentor knew he had to face. At first he fought back, trying to push thoughts away, trying to breathe harder, trying to be calm by force. But the more he fought, the louder the storm became. His breath shook. His shoulders tensed, his jaw clenched. The mentor stood nearby, watching with the patience of an old mountain. When the turmoil reached its peak, the elder finally spoke. The mind becomes a tyrant when you fear it. But that was all he said. No technique, no guidance, just presence. Because the lesson wasn't instruction. The lesson was an endurance. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time became strange. When frustration consumed him, the mentor changed tactics. He took him deeper into the forest, where the wind howled softly through cedar trunks. There he taught him the ancient practice of mushin, the empty mind. But mushin wasn't emptiness. It wasn't silence. It wasn't peaceful. It was surrender. The mentor asked him to walk through the forest slowly, matching his breath to his footsteps. Left foot, inhale. Right foot, exhale. But the moment he tried, his mind rebelled. Thoughts rushed in faster. You're doing it wrong. You're wasting time. This is pointless. You're not made for this. Why are you even here? The mentor glanced at him and said softly, the thoughts you fear are the ones that control you. They continued walking, Sometimes the mentor would stop abruptly, pointing to a falling leaf or a shifting shadow. He wanted the student to notice, truly notice, without analyzing or interpreting. Just observe, but observation was harder than he expected. His mind wanted to label everything. Leaf, tree, bird, wind, sound, memory, fear. His mind could not stop naming the world, and the mentor saw every struggle. The breakthrough came not with triumph, but exhaustion. It was midday when the mentor finally left him alone near a ridge overlooking miles of mountains. The wind blew steady. Clouds drifted slowly. The world felt enormous, steady, unchanging. He sat again. His legs ached, his back hurt. His mind was tired from its own noise. But something surprising happened. The thoughts were still there, but he was too exhausted to fight them. Too tired to push them away. Too tired to obey them. So he just let them be. He watched them rise. He watched them fall. He watched fear whisper. He watched insecurity complain. He watched doubt hiss its familiar lines. And he didn't move. He didn't resist. He didn't engage. He didn't run. He didn't run. For the first time, he sat with the full storm of his mind without trying to change it. And in that moment, a small space appeared. A breath. A pause. A pause. A sliver of clarity. A pocket of quiet so subtle he almost missed it. The mentor, who had been observing from a distance, stepped closer. His voice was gentle this time, not commanding, not sharp, but acknowledging. You have met the edge of your mind, and you did not run. The young man opened his eyes. For the first time since arriving, the world didn't feel overwhelming. His thoughts were still there, but they no longer pulled him like tides. They were just passing clouds drifting through a vast sky. The mentor nodded once, and now the real training can begin. Because the war inside the mind wasn't won. But he had finally stopped losing. Chapter 4. The Weight of Silence. The early morning light was still soft, a pale white slowly pushing against the deep blue of night when Hiro woke. His sleep had been thin, scattered across restless thoughts, but something inside him felt heavier today. A quiet conflict shaping itself into awareness. Master Riku's words from yesterday echoed again and again in his head. Learn to understand the silence within you. Those words felt heavier than any physical training. Today wasn't like other mornings. Hiro could feel it the moment he stepped into the courtyard. The ground was cool with dawn's moisture, the air thick with the earthy scent of night's last breath. In the distance, the soft chime of a temple bell floated through the trees. He should have found this calming, but instead the quiet made the pounding in his chest seem louder. Master Riku was already there, sitting on an old wooden bench, eyes closed in meditation. Hiro approached slowly, bowed, and waited. "Oh, sit, Hiro," Riku said without opening his eyes. Hiro sat in front of him, his back straight but his pulse uneven. Do you know," Master Riku asked softly, "that the weight of silence is heavier than noise?" Hiro frowned. "I don't understand, Master." Riku finally opened his eyes and studied his face. "People run from noise, yes, but what they truly fear is silence. Because in silence they meet their real thoughts, their honest weaknesses, their untouched wounds." The words hit Hiro like a strike. He swallowed. Master, what if my own thoughts scare me?" A faint smile touched Riku's lips. "Then those are the thoughts you must sit with. What frightens us the most often transforms us the most." Then Riku raised his hand and pointed toward the forest path. "Your training today will not be done here. Today you go alone." "Alone? Alone?" Hiro's voice wavered. "Yes," Master said calmly. "Inside the forest lies an old stone pond. The water there is always still. Go there, sit. No exercises, no drills. Just you and your silence." Hiro hesitated. "And if I get restless, that will be part of your training." Hiro gathered his small pouch of essentials and stepped toward the forest. The deeper he walked, the more the world seemed to expand around him. Rustling leaves whispering against one another, a distant trickle of water, the occasional call of a bird waking to the light. Normally, these sounds brought him peace, but today everything felt sharpened, as if the forest too was watching him. After a long walk, he reached the stone pond. The place looked untouched by time. The water was flat as glass, not a single ripple disturbing its surface. Moss covered the old stones, and a single large rock sat beside the edge, almost like a seat meant for those seeking something deeper. Hiro sat down and drew a long breath. "All right, silence," he whispered. "Let's see what you do." For the first 10 minutes, everything felt almost peaceful. The subtle sounds of the forest held him gently. The sparkle of light on the pond surface steadied his mind. But then, The quiet began to deepen. Silence has layers. Hiro realized that now. First, it swallowed the outside world. Then it moved inward. He heard his breathing louder than before. Then his heartbeat. Then his thoughts. One by one, memories rose like shadows coming out of hiding. The day he was humiliated in front of his village, the mistakes he had run away from, the faces he felt he had disappointed, the fear that maybe he would never be enough. His eyes stung. His throat tightened. He closed his eyes, hoping to shut everything out, but the thoughts only grew clearer. You're weak. You can't do it. People laugh at you. You will fail. They weren't someone else's voice. They were his own. The silence wasn't peaceful anymore. It was sharp, pressing, suffocating. Shiro felt an urge to stand, to run back to Master Riku, to say that this kind of training wasn't for him, that he couldn't handle this, that he didn't want to face this version of himself. But then he remembered Riku's words. Restlessness will be your training. Hiro forced himself to stay seated. He didn't try to silence the thoughts. He didn't try to fight them. He simply let them come. Let them hurt. Let them speak. And slowly, very slowly, something changed. When a person stops running, their pain loses its sharpness. The voices inside him softened a little. The shame became less overwhelming. The memories still hurt, but now they felt like distant echoes, not fresh wounds. Hiro opened his eyes. The pond looked the same, calm, untouched, but Hiro knew he wasn't the same. His breathing was steady now. His chest felt lighter. The heavy fog that had surrounded his heart for so long had begun to thin. For the first time in his life, Hiro felt like he had seen himself clearly. Without running, without excuses, without fear. He felt a strange mix of sadness and relief, but above all, strength. Facing silence was painful, but it had not broken him. By the time Hiro returned to the monastery, Master Riku was waiting for him. You have returned, Riku said. Hiro nodded with a tired but honest smile. Yes, Master. And I think I may have changed a little. Riku's expression softened. If you have felt the weight of silence today, then you can begin to learn from it. Hiro inhaled deeply. A new energy pulsed inside him, like a door had cracked open. Tomorrow, Master said. We will go further from where you reached today. Hiro nodded. I'm ready, he said. And this time he truly meant it. Chapter 5. The quiet forge. The days that followed moved differently. The monastery had always been silent, but now Hiro felt that silence inside himself as well. Lighter, clearer, steadier. Yet Master Riku warned him that what he had experienced at the stone pond was only the beginning. The stillness is not a moment, the Master said. It is a discipline, a forge, and you must be willing to burn inside it. That morning, before the sun rose fully, Master Riku led Hiro to an open clearing deeper in the mountain forest. Mist floated low across the ground, curling like silver threads around their feet. The air was crisp enough to sting the skin. The world looked both ancient and new. Today, Riku said, we begin the quiet forge. Hiro bowed. What must I do, Master? Riku pointed to a wooden staff resting against a tree. Simple, he said. A move. But do not make a single sound. Hiro picked it up. The wood was smooth, balanced, and heavier than it looked. He took his stance, exhaled, and began a slow arc through the air. A soft whistle followed the movement. Riku shook his head. Too loud. Again. Hiro tried again, slower this time, but the faint swish still cut through the morning air. Riku watched him with calm patience. Your body moves, he said, but your mind is still rushing. Silence is not only around you. It must flow through your muscles, your breath, your attention. Hiro tightened his grip. He inhaled, then exhaled. This time he didn't think about the motion, he simply moved with it. The staff sliced the air in absolute quiet. Riku nodded. Good. Continue. For the next hour, Hiro practiced in silence, each swing slow and controlled, each step deliberate, each breath aligned with the movement. The still forest became a mirror for his discipline. Whenever his thoughts drifted, noise returned. Whenever his focus sharpened, silence returned. Silence returned. By sunrise, his body was warm, his muscles trembling slightly, and sweat glistened across his forehead, but his mind felt steady, precise. Riku raised an eyebrow. This is the first stage. The next will challenge you. He led Hiro into a narrow path where the trees grew denser, their shadows stretching long across the ground. They arrived at a steep incline scattered with rocks and loose soil. A climb, Riku said. No words, no frustration, no reaction. the mountain will try to disturb your calm. You must remain unmoved. Hiro fisted his hands briefly, then began climbing. The slope was steep. Stones shifted under his feet. The cold wind scraped against his neck. Several times he slipped, nearly falling, but each time he inhaled, centered himself, and continued. Halfway up, his chest burned. His legs shook, his mind screamed to stop. But he remembered the pond, the pain he faced sitting silently. This climb was another form of silence. So he kept going. When he reached the top, panting but composed, Riku appeared behind him as if the climb had been nothing. "Well done," the master said. "A warrior without silence is like a sword without a sharpened edge. Today you sharpened." Hiro looked out over the valley below. For the first time, he felt the mountain not as a place of exile, but a place of transformation. Their next training was more unusual. Riku brought Hiro to a small wooden platform built beside a river. The current was strong today, crashing loudly against the stones. Hiro wondered if this was stillness training or something else. Master Riku stepped onto the platform and sat cross-legged. "You will listen," he said. What? Hiro asked, "To what exists beneath the noise?" Hiro sat beside him. At first he heard only the river, loud, wild, overwhelming. But Riku didn't move, didn't blink, didn't flinch. Hiro tried to follow his example. Minutes passed. The river roared. Hiro felt restless. What am I supposed to hear? He thought. Then something shifted. He began noticing details inside the noise. The thump of stones under the water, the soft splash at the river's edges, the faint whistle of wind weaving through the treetops. The longer he sat, the more layers revealed themselves. What had seemed chaotic now felt patterned. Riku finally spoke. "The noise is not the enemy. Confusion is. When the mind becomes disciplined, it hears order inside chaos." Hiro exhaled slowly. The lesson settled deep. Next came the most exhausting training of the day. Riku led Hiro into the monastery's stone hall, where long shadows stretched across the floor. A single candle burned in the center. "Walk," Riku instructed. Slowly. Each step must match the candle's flame. "What does that mean?" Hiro asked. "Watch the flame. Move as it moves. When it flickers, adjust. When it's steady, steady yourself." Hiro began walking, his eyes fixed on the flame. At first it seemed simple, but the slightest breeze or shift in the air made the flame dance or weaken. Hiro had to change his rhythm constantly, sometimes speeding up, sometimes slowing down, sometimes freezing completely. The exercise demanded intense awareness. He couldn't drift, he couldn't think ahead. He had to remain fully present. By the time he reached the far end of the hall, sweat trickled down his back and his legs felt heavy. Riku approached him, eyes warm. "You are learning presence," he said. But not the presence that people talk about casually, but the presence warriors live by. Silent attention, deep perception, unbreakable calm. Hiro nodded slowly. "I feel different, Master." "You look different," Riku replied. "Your edges are softening, your mind is sharpening." Hiro felt a quiet pride swell inside him, not loud pride, not the ego that had chased achievement in the past. This was quieter, like a small flame glowing inside his chest. A flame that belonged to him. That night, Hiro sat outside the monastery alone, watching the stars appear one by one. He thought about the man who first arrived here. The restless man, the anxious man, the man who feared silence so much he drowned himself in distractions. That man felt distant now, not gone, but slowly shedding away. Stillness had carved new space inside him, space for clarity, strength, presence. He breathed deeply. The air felt lighter. The world felt slower. He felt stronger. Tomorrow would bring even deeper training. But tonight, he had mastered something profound. He had entered the quiet forge, and the fire was reshaping him. Chapter 6. Return of the Quiet Warrior. The final morning arrived without ceremony. Hiro woke before dawn, sensing a shift in the air. The monastery, usually wrapped in calm darkness at this hour, felt different. Heavier, as if the mountain itself was waiting for something. He dressed, tied the simple cloth belt around his waist, and stepped outside. Master Riku stood at the edge of the courtyard, watching the horizon. He didn't turn as Hiro approached. "You feel it, don't you?" Riku asked quietly. Hiro nodded. Something is beginning," the master corrected. A silence stretched between them, not empty but full. Hiro felt a weight forming in his chest, the weight of understanding what the master was about to say. "You are leaving today." The words landed like a stone dropped into still water. Hiro's breath caught. "I am leaving?" he repeated. Riku finally turned to him. His expression was calm, steady, unshaken, yet his eyes held an ancient softness. "You came here to find your mind," Riku said. "Oh, but the purpose of stillness is not to escape the world. It is to return to it transformed." Hiro's throat tightened. He looked around. The stone paths he had swept in silence, the halls where he had practiced presence, the mountain wind that had become a teacher in its own right. "How will I know if I'm ready?" Hiro asked. Riku stepped closer. "You will never feel ready," he said. "But readiness is not a feeling. It is a state of being, and you have become it." Hiro lowered his head. Riku smiled gently. "You do not carry the mountain by staying on it. You carry it by walking away with its silence inside you." They walked together to the outer gate, the same gate Hiro had staggered through months ago, exhausted and broken. Back then, the stillness here had frightened him. Now, it felt like a familiar friend saying farewell. "Hiro," Riku said softly, "of a world will test you, noise will return. Distractions will try to claim you, but listen to me carefully." He placed 2 fingers against Hiro's chest. "A silence lives here now, not around you, inside you." Hiro inhaled slowly. He felt it, the quiet core he had forged through discipline, breath, and presence. It didn't waver. It didn't shrink. It was steady. "What if the city overwhelms me again?" Hiro asked. Riku shook his head. "A city will not overwhelm you. You overwhelmed yourself. Now you know the difference." Hiro let the words settle. They felt true. Riku stepped back. "Go, walk with stillness. Let your presence speak before your words ever do." Hiro bowed deeply, a bow filled with gratitude, respect, and something close to love. When he rose, Riku was already turning away, disappearing back into the monastery. Silent, composed, eternal. The gate creaked open. Hiro stepped through. The city hit him like a wave. The noise, the movement, the rush of bodies, the chaos of streets, the screen-lit faces, the constant hum of modern life. But something was different this time. The noise didn't pierce him. The movement didn't disturb him. The chaos didn't enter him. It all washed around him like water flowing past a stone. People bumped into each other, hurried, argued, scrolled, complained. Yet Hiro felt rooted, present, aware. He walked slowly, calmly through the crowd. His breath remained steady, his eyes soft but focused, his heartbeat quiet, and people noticed. A woman arguing on the phone lowered her voice as he passed. A man rushing across the street slowed, as if matching Hiro's calm pace. A child crying suddenly quieted, staring up at him with wide eyes. Hiro didn't speak a word. He didn't need to. His presence changed the air around him. At his apartment, the objects of his old life greeted him. Messy shelves, half-finished tasks, the familiar clutter of a mind that once avoided silence. He stood in the center of the room. Before, this place felt suffocating. Now, it simply felt like a room. He opened the windows. He cleaned quietly, slowly, intentionally. He organized his desk. He poured tea. He sat, not to meditate, not to force calm, just to be. And the stillness came on its own, rising like a tide inside him. For the first time, he realized he no longer needed the monastery. The monastery was inside him. Work returned next. Meetings, deadlines, noise, people pushing, demanding, reacting. But Hiro responded differently. Where others complained, he observed. Where others panicked, he breathed. Where others reacted, he chose. His co-workers noticed. "You look different. You seem so calm. How are you not stressed? What happened to you?" Hiro only smiled and said, "I learned to listen. Not to people, not to the world, but to the silence beneath both." One evening, weeks later, Hiro found himself on a rooftop overlooking the city. The same rooftop where he once broke down, drowning in his own mind. The wind was colder tonight. The city lights flickered like distant stars. Cars hummed far below, but the storm that once lived inside him was gone. He closed his eyes, and the mountain rose inside his breath. The river flowed inside his heartbeat. The candle flame of discipline steadied inside his mind. He felt Master Riku's voice echo quietly within him. The stillness is not what you run to, it is what you return to. A small smile formed on Hiro's lips. He inhaled deeply, slow, steady, grounded, and whispered to the night, "A stillness is my strength now, not spoken in pride, not spoken in fear, but spoken in truth. A truth earned through silence, discipline, and the courage to face himself." He opened his eyes. The city was still loud, still restless, still chaotic. But Hiro was unshakable. He had returned to the world. But he returned to something new, a quiet warrior forged by silence.